Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf.
Hi, I'm May Flaum.
We are so excited to see you. So, by the way, if you saw something pop up yesterday that we were live, something went wrong with the software when I scheduled it, and it went yesterday instead of today. So, I apologize for those of you that showed up. Yes, it is Tuesday. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. I had to figure out, wait a minute. It's today that we're live. So, say hi, say where you're from. May's here, and you're working on something for the holidays, May. I'm so excited.
I am. So the thing with the scan and cut, when we get to the holidays, it can pretty much help me with everything because I can use it to cut out like vinyl stickers to put on gift wrap. I can use it to make cards and tags. I can use it to make just all kinds of different things for gifting. And I can also use it to make ornaments. So that's what we're going to do today.
This is going to be so much fun. So I see the brother family rolling in. Hey, Arnell, all of you pop in, say hi, say where you're from. We'll let May take it away. And as always, we can see all of your comments and questions. We're live streaming on Brother Crafts Facebook and YouTube pages. So May, what supplies do we need for this?
So today first of all, there's lots of different things that you could use for ornament making. In fact, I've got a couple examples here. So you could use plastic or glass ornaments and fill them. We actually have a live show if you go back in the archives last year that we did on that. You could use ceramic. We have a live show on that too, showing, I don't know if you remember, Angela, or not. We did one where we painted and then lifted the vinyl, and that was super fun. There's acrylic ornaments, so you can find all kinds of ornament blanks at the craft store. If what you want to do is just cut something out, probably a vinyl, and just stick it on and be done. So there's lots of really easy options. We're going to do something similar, but we're actually, for those of you who tune in every month, we're in a little different position. You're usually like 5 feet that way. We've moved up into the window corner for two reasons. Number one, it's a very dark and rainy day, and I was just having a heck of a time lighting up the back side of the room. But number two, we need to be by the sewing machine because we are actually going to combine our scan and cut with just a little really simple sewing to make felt ornaments. And I'm super excited about this because there's so many options that you can make. I've got a blank one right here that I already sewed up. And the thing about this is we can add a design in vinyl. We could add a design. We could hand stitch and hand embroider a design. If you have an embroidery machine, you could embroider a design and then go over to the scan and cut the pieces out for the ornament and then put them all together. So you've got an embroidered. We could stuff this if you wanted to stuff it. So there's a lot of directions that you can take with this. But what I'm going to show you how to do today is just the basics of, here's the basics of how we're going to do it. And then it's up to you which direction do you want to go. So we're going to need, you could use a sewing machine. You could hand stitch this. So you would need either needle and thread or sewing machine, a little ribbon or something to make so that it can hang as an ornament. And then depending on what you want to use, I'm going to use felt that I've actually got backed with some iron-on, I guess you'd call it adhesive, since it's once after it's all set, I can pull the paper off, fold it in half, and actually adhere my ornament to itself so that sewing it together is super, super easy because it's all together. And then it's up to you. What do you want to decorate it with? Do you want to have an embroidered design? Do you want to sew like little buttons and things on? Do you want to use vinyl? Today, I'm going to use heat transfer vinyl to show you how quick and easy it is to add something like a snowflake onto this. And I'm working in teals today because I'm just really into the teal colors to this year. I don't know what that's about. I always end up at the holidays with a different color. Some years it's green, some years it's red. This year, apparently, it's teal. So we're going to work with some different teal hues of felt and vinyl and, of course, ribbon. And I'll show you how to put all of this together really easy.
This is going to be so much fun. And you're doing this. I love it when we do this. I know it feels like, oh my gosh, are we already getting close to the holidays? But if we don't do this now, then we don't have time to do it. So I love that we're able to do this in plenty of time for the holidays.
Well, and this is why I wanted to share this with you guys this month so that I know a lot of people get extra time off at Thanksgiving, or maybe you're not hosting, so you have a little extra time to do a little crafting. And the thing I love about this too is when you gift someone an ornament, you can either make that the gift or you can also attach that to a package. So like I like to do this like my nieces and nephews or different people where maybe I want a little something handmade, but I have a different gift in mind. Then this brings that handmade into my gifting for them.
That's a great idea.
All right, so to get started here, we'll head on over to the Scan and Cut. And I mentioned before, I've got my felt, and I actually have my felt backed with some iron-on. Iron-on, it kind of stabilizes things, but it also has adhesive to it. So it's going to help us glue our felts together, so to speak. And I'm just going to be placing this on my mat.
I'm looking, I'm like, we lost something, paused for a second. Are you back, May?
I think so. It paused, so I stopped talking.
I was like, where did we go? Okay, back to the scan.
That's the fun of the live, right?
Back to the Scan and Cut. Here we go.
So we're in the Scan and Cut, and there's lots and lots of basics. I always tell people, don't forget, right here in the corner, they often get forgotten, but all of these basic shapes, these are so useful for so many different projects. So you can pick whatever shape you would like for this. I'm going to show you the shape that I already cut once, and we'll do it again. It's down here a little ways. There it is. So with these, just know that you can change, like if you want it to be wider or taller. I'm going to put this up, bump this up to 4 inches, and I'm cutting 2 of them. So it's automatically going to put them there. I'm just going to move these guys down a little bit. When I do felt, I don't like to do it right on the edge since it's such a heavy material. That's my personal preference. And I've got everything is on a standard mat, and it's also it happens to be a brand new standard mat, so it's going to be nice and strong here. And we're going to select cut. I love how fast this goes. So we could cut more, just so you know. If you're making a batch, go ahead and cut as many as you would like, and I'll move the camera down just a little bit so you guys can watch a little bit of cutting here. And I always keep my finger real close to the pause button just in case I didn't press my material down enough, or in case something goes haywire with a heavier material. I just always keep my finger right there on the pause to make sure I did everything just so. And it's telling me that it made it in one pass. So I'm going to just kind of lift my mat and see if I agree with that. I do not agree with that. Wait, yes, okay. So that one is all cut out beautifully, as you can see. And the other one, I'm just checking while we're down here. Okay, it did. The other one did too. It looks like there's just one little spot where the paper backing didn't completely cut through right there. Well, that doesn't matter because I don't need the paper backing. I just need my shape. So we are all good. So
hey,
that
May,
is part.
You had just a couple people asking what mat and what blade you're using on your scanning.
So it's just a standard mat and just the standard auto blade. It will just go right on through.
Perfect.
And if it needs a second pass, it will just take the second pass for you. Okay. Awesome. Now we're going to say okay and go home, because now we will cut out from, I've got some glittery heat transfer vinyl here that I think will be a lot of fun. Okay. So heat transfer vinyl down, and this time, let's see. It is this one. I always forget to look deeper because you guys, there are a lot of patterns in these machines, and I feel like a lot of them are very easy to forget. Okay, so we'll do one of these, and I'm going to make this, I'm just kind of looking at the shape here, and I just think I want it about 3 inches wide, and then I'm going to add one more of those. So we have some fun little snowflakes here. And I like to do snowflakes for my friends that maybe they celebrate a different winter holiday, or for whatever reason, maybe they like blues, whatever, or maybe I'm not sure what they celebrate. I mean, there's lots of different reasons you maybe want to do something that's not holiday specific, but you want winter and you want to celebrate. So now I'm just going to press this button here, which is going to scan my mat. And I'm just going to have to scoot my machine up because we are on the sewing desk, not on the 4-foot long craft desk. It makes a difference. I got to make sure to keep out of my own way here. There we go. So scanning the mat in, this is going to show me where my material is. And then I'm going to be able to cut these guys out. And I'm just going to say, okay. And remember that when we're cutting vinyl, we can go in here and select half cut so that it will cut the vinyl, but not the backing material. There it goes. So easy, truly. And there it goes, cutting away.
It's so quiet. I love that.
I love how quiet it is.
So there were a few people on here just mentioning that they just got a new Scan and Cut. So yes, you can watch these shows again, by the way. So if you're on Facebook, share them to your page. If you're on YouTube, you can go back and binge watch. May, how many shows have you had on here? Like 100, 100, at least 100.
I feel like, yeah, it feels like a lot that we've done together. In fact, when I started going back, I'm like, well, no, we've already done this. Well, we've already done that. I know there's always more ideas, though. So I knew if I kept digging around, we would find even more ideas to play with here. And what I like about this one, what's that?
Sorry, I'm going to have to go back as you're talking about that. Do you remember the one that you had the clear ornaments where we did the vinyl? I know you mentioned that earlier, but that was a great episode. So those of you looking for some extra things for the holidays, go back to Brother Sews or Brother Crafts YouTube page and you can scroll through until you find that. I think it was last year that we did that.
I think so too, although it's hard to keep track because we've done so many now. I love them, but sometimes I think that seems familiar. Oh, because we did that.
That's okay. A lot of times we have a new audience, so the old people that are here, you're not necessarily old, but our old faithful fans, they're like, we don't care. We'll see it again. It might be a different color fabric. Arnell will be excited if you use purple.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I mean, and what I love about this project is we've got the basics, we've got the pieces, and then it's up to us, you know, if you want to make it into something stuffed, if you want to like felt piece, a really intricate maybe shape or animal or whatever it is onto here with felt, you could. There's so many different things you could do. And I love though that it just takes the know-how of this one project, and then you can take that know-how and turn it 20 different ways depending on what you have and what you want to do. Because I know I'm already imagining doing like some fussy cutting of little felt bits and some embroidery. I think that would be really fun. But I also think it would be really fun to use embroidery patterns that maybe I don't use often enough and get those going. All right, so I'm closing the Scan and Cut and pushing it over to the side here to make some room. And we've got our snowflakes, and I am just going to cut around the end of the snowflake because then we can save all of this material for future use. And I'll grab my trusty pick. And I was so excited. I usually check this on the mat to make sure everything is coming off nice and smoothly, and I didn't. So I would normally recommend on your vinyl, I like to check that it cut the way I want it to cut before I start doing the weeding, but I got all excited and just went for it. But luckily here, I can see we're good to go, so everything's fine. So I'm just weeding, in other words, removing all the vinyl pieces that we don't want to stay. So anything we don't want to transfer, we just pick right off. And this process, you know, it can take a while. The smaller and finer it gets, the more it can take, but this one should be pretty easy, I think. There's a lot of little pieces, but luckily we are right at the window, and the window, at least at my house, being right next to the window is the best spot to be able to see all the little cut marks where we should be lifting stuff off. You can see there, just going around the snowflake. And the other nice thing about a design like a snowflake is it's the same all the way around. So once you kind of learn what the pieces are, or if you don't learn, you can just look back at what you've already weeded to see what the pieces are that come out, what you should expect to have come out. So there's one. I'll be for one. And then our other one here.
I agree, Marcia. She's like, those are so pretty. I agree.
I love these snowflakes, and I always forget about them because they're not in with the snow. They're in with some of the more intricate designs. And I always forget that they're there. And when I went digging for something that I wanted to put on an ornament yesterday, I found these. I refound these and went, oh my goodness, why do we not use those more often? I love those. So here we are. Okay. Oh, I see what I'm doing. There we go. So I was picking at the wrong spot. And if that happens, just remember, especially the glitter vinyl, you guys will hear me say this a lot. The glitter vinyl is very forgiving because it's a little thicker material, but also with all that sparkle and texture, it's a little easier to disguise if something does not quite go the way it should go. So if on accident you poke a spot at the wrong place on a glitter vinyl, it's usually pretty easy to just press it back down and pretend that didn't happen, which makes it really beginner friendly. So yeah, you can see, you can't tell where I accidentally put, you won't be able to tell. And then I just double check everybody that everything is removed. And once it is, so I'll show you, we're going to show you this two different ways. First, we're just going to, if we had a finished ornament, which we do, and we've got an iron. Oh, here we go with this. So this one, let's see. I think I'm going to do the other one. So we'll do one on this and one on the other. So this is the already finished, and then we'll sew here in a moment. So this one, we just figure out where we would like it and press it down. And then we're going to use whichever fabric is closest to my hand here. There we go. A little pressing cloth here. If I can get to an end.
Hey, are you using your pressing cloth that you were putting together as a blanket last year? That one?
Oh yeah. The blanket that's still waiting to be finished.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's still waiting. It's somewhere in here. I moved it to the projects that need to get done bin, and that bin has not moved or changed, unfortunately, because things have just been crazy around here. But you know what? That's how it goes, isn't it? But when I have time, I do have that project bin all ready. Give it a test. It could use a little bit more. And I always remind people you do want to have some pressure here as well as a little bit of time. It needs a little time, a little heat, a little pressure. And you want to get to know your own iron and your own tools and everything to make sure you know what works. And if, like, I just lifted and I saw that this corner did not quite press properly, you can always repress. Remember that. You can always go back and repress and add a little more heat. But that's basically what, isn't that fun?
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, that looks so rich.
And if you wanted to, on the back side, you could add vinyl like the name, a year, a happy holidays, or Merry Christmas, or whatever it is you wanted to say. You could add that onto the back really easily.
I love that. It looks like a luggage tag. I just finished traveling. That would have made a great luggage tag.
So now that we've done that, I'll show you how we're going to actually assemble. So for actual assembly here. So I've got the two pieces that we cut at the start, And the paper backing, I leave that on to cut just because I don't want the iron-on material to get stuck on the mat. I feel like it would try to stick on the mat, I feel like. So we're going to peel that off. And then we're going to iron these two together. Now this part, it would depend. Just remember, it depends on what you've got, what you're doing. So in other words, if we were going to, like, let's say we were going to have an embroidery design on this, machine embroidery, we would have wanted to embroider on the full, hoop and embroider the sheet of felt. Then, and you can have embroidery on felt and then cut it out with the scan and cut. So then you would have cut it out. So remember that it depends on what you're doing. If you were doing some hand embroidery or something that had a lot of stitching that you wanted hidden in the middle, you would do all of that first. Okay. And then you would put these together. And I'm getting my little ribbon here ready at the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and have this in here. And it would be, I think it'd be really fun. There's a lot of different things designs and things you could put on this. I think it would be really fun to have do maybe a little felt or even a vinyl Christmas tree and then add little beads, sew little beads on there. I think that would be super cute. And then I'm just pressing with the iron. This is just to heat and activate that iron-on adhesive we've got in there. And the reason I'm doing this now is just so that when I go to stitch, it's all locked up. It's all nice and ready. So I'm not going to have any issue with having to pin anything or things are sliding around. I've already got it all set. I love that I love things that make my life easier, Things are hard enough. We don't need things any harder. Okay, so then it's up to you. You could do the vinyl before or after because I already have my iron and everything out. I think it makes sense to go ahead and center my vinyl and do it now. If I didn't have my iron out, I could do it after, as you already saw me do. It doesn't matter. Or whatever else you're putting on. It's just remember, it depends on, if you're doing anything with stitching that you want to hide the stitches, that all needs to happen before we make, as I call it, the ornament sandwich. Before we make our ornament sandwich, we want to do any stitching or do anything that we don't want showing on the back, right? If it's stuff that like vinyl that's just going to get pressed on the front or glued on the front and there's nothing showing through, you can do it at any point, beginning, middle, or end. Totally personal preference, no wrong way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, like I said, because we've got everything out, it makes sense to me to go ahead and iron this on. Oh, and it's so cute. Okay, and then I'm turning my iron off because I am notorious for forgetting to turn my iron off, and that scares me. So we don't need to do that. Nothing scary today. Okay, so now we've got that. And I'm going to work my wizard's magic here, and we're going to move this ever so slightly. So now the sewing machine comes around. So just one moment here while I flip this around. Look at that. There it is.
Hey, you didn't even make us seasick.
I tried not to. I tried to have everything so that it was going to be not too seasick. Okay.
Hey, what model sewing machine are you using? So
this is the SE 1900, and I just have white. I have white thread in here, but you can use whatever thread you like, whatever thread you want. And let's see, I have it set at 3mm stitch, just a straight stitch. That's another thing is depending on what model you have, and I'll show you up here on this one, you may have lots and lots of stitches. So you could get very fancy right here if you wanted to. That whatever you would like. Okay, so all I'm going to do is start at one end. And I'm going to start a little in, and I'm going to back up a few. And then I'm just going to slowly and in no rush here, just stitch around the side. I like this because it adds that decorative, you know, stitched handmade look. But it's easy. And you might notice I'm not going super fast. That's intentional so that I can keep my eye. I'm trying to keep my eye right there, and let's see. Bring you guys in a little. Let's see if I can get it to refocus though. Oh, it doesn't want to refocus. Okay. But right there, there's always the where you're stitching, but there's always like different lines. So I always try to pick a line or pick a spot. And as we're doing this, I'm just staring at that one spot and just before it so that I can make sure. You might notice my fingers are just kind of gently turning this. And what that makes sure is that I keep it as even as possible. I mean, it's handmade, guys. It's okay if it's not perfect. But I try to keep, while I'm doing the curve, I try to go nice and slow so that I get the curve just the way I want it and get fairly even stitching. Maybe not perfect, but pretty even where the edge is versus where the stitched line is. And it also usually prevents me from doing something silly like going too fast and then making a jagged turn because I went too fast, too far, too fast, you know, and have regrets. So I know it's tempting to want to go a lot faster, but when I'm on a curve, I just don't. Because I know what happens if I try to push too fast. Although when I hit the straightaway here, it's, you know, it's a straightaway, so it's a little different. But then I don't want to go too far and overshoot it. And I'll just go a couple stitches back. And it cuts for me and everything. And then I just need to trim off here. Let me scoop our machine back a little.
That looks really good, May. In fact, everybody's saying, oh, decorative stitches around that, a blanket stitch. There's so many different options there. Yes, yes, yes.
There's so many options, and it just depends. What do you like? What do you want? Who are you making this for? You've got, I mean, we could sit here. I think we could sit here for days, Angela, and never exhaust all the options of what we could possibly do with a project like this. Like I mentioned before, you could make this into something stuffed. You could make this, you could put stuffing in here and make it a puffy ornament. You could make it bigger. You could make it smaller. I made them a little bigger today, but you could certainly make them a lot smaller.
I love it. That's super cute. Oh, which one do you guys like better, the light one or the dark one? I like them both.
I like them both too. And I could see even, you could add rhinestones. You could glue on rhinestones. You could get really dimensional with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just have so much fun in so many different ways making these. And you could still make them really, you could do it so that it was very time efficient. So you could cut batches, right? We could cut lots and lots of felt base pieces. Then we could cut lots and lots of vinyl pieces. Or if you're using your sewing machine to use embroidery files, you know, stitch lots of embroidery files one day, then one day cut them out. Then, you know, we could really, really do a lot of different directions with this. And yeah, it could be a money. It could be a great money holder. Absolutely. So another thing we could do, you could cut a third and then you could just hand cut. Ooh, with pinking shears would be cute. So
that would be really cute.
Cut a third one and then cut it off maybe about here with pinking shears, and then just do exactly what we did, but stitch around the sides here. So then that would create a pocket. So this could become a pocket, an ornament. And
great idea. You know, in fact, if you go to buy a card for putting money in it, you know that they're expensive. You could sit there and make these all day long.
They really are. They are expensive. And there's so much that we can do at home on our own with our stuff. And it's less expensive, or it's using our stash of stuff that we need to use. And on this one, I used plain felt, but we could also use, I'll show you, like, this is a felt that's a glittered felt, right? So we could use a glittered felt. We could use leathers or faux leathers. This is like a faux leather. So we could use leathers. We could use fabrics, certainly. I think with fabrics, you would just maybe need like, a layer in there to stabilize it or make it a little more stiff. That's what I like about the double felt is once we've doubled the felt, it's still flexible, but it holds its shape really nice.
I love that. I love that. Oh, Cheryl Squirrel. Whoever
And
has that name, I love that. Maxine's outside eating my nuts right now.
You can also see how quick and easy these are because, you know, this is not a hard, if you don't want it to be a long project, it doesn't have to be. If we want to get really complicated and make a big, long project of it, we certainly can. We are all I think everyone watching this is very good at making projects into big, long, epic projects. So we can certainly still do that.
I like this. This is fast, easy, play on the scan and cut. You could do this with kids, make their own ornaments. So many ideas. May you always have fun, easy projects that don't look easy. Those look very expensive.
Well, to be truthful, it took me a whole day of trying things and being unhappy to land on this one for today. So remember that too, guys. Is the projects we share with you here, a lot of times there's a lot of trial and error that you never see that to help us get to something that we know. I know for me, Angela, and I'm sure you too, I always try to share stuff that I know you can do, that I know you'll be successful at. It won't be like what happened or, you know, what is it, like the cake fails where you see like, this is an easy cake to make. And then you try to make it, it all melts kind of a thing. No, so never that. Always successful. I promise.
So true. And, you know, I'm glad you shared that because I think a lot of people think they don't realize how much work goes into designing one of these to make it easy for you. How many trial and errors, not arrows. Well, sometimes I feel like there should be. All right, we lost your phone, but I got you on here. You're still there, right, May?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Gotta love the live shows. Squirrels are in the house.
I know.
All right. So, May, this is so much fun. Everybody's saying great ideas. If you guys want to scroll through, you can see the comments. There was one question someone asked, would you use the fabric mat for the felt? And I saw somebody immediately reply that would be too sticky for how she's doing that. I would just use what she used, just a standard mat.
I think you could if it was like maybe that's what you have, or it's a little used, perhaps, like maybe you've used it a few times. But you know how that happens where over time it loses some stickiness, maybe then, but you don't need to. I used a new or a fairly new standard mat. And I did not need to support the felt in any way. I do have and sometimes use, this is Brother branded, but just like a masking tape or a washi tape. A lot of times on felt, especially if I get into the heavier felt, like the glittered, super heavy felt, I will use those. So I will use that to help stabilize the felt.
Makes sense.
If I feel like it's too heavy or it's going to move on the mat, my mat's not quite new enough or not quite sticky enough. There's always that. It's one of those things where it's some of the heavier materials, sometimes they just need support because as you're running them through the machine and you're asking it to bend, you know, it bends a little bit. Sometimes one end will kind of pop up and that will kind of just prevent that from really happening.
That's good to know. And also, if you guys are putting like a backing on your fabric or the felt, then you definitely don't want to use that the fabric mat. It's not for that. It's just for fabric, period.
Right. I always think of it like if you're going to go to the fabric mat, you're really just have raw fabric. This is raw fabric. I cannot add, for whatever reason, for the project, you know, adding something to it would either mess it up or not work as well. So I need just plain fabric. Then I go to the fabric mat. If I'm using something like a stabilizer or some kind of iron-on sheet or something like that, then I'm regular mat.
Definitely. So Mickey might have rolled in a little bit late. Just the universal blade is all she was using there.
Yep. That's all I use for everything is right now, at least, is the universal blade. And it does a really good job on all the different materials. The only thing I say about if you're a one blade kind of a person is if you're going to cut a lot of felt or watercolor paper or any of the like coarser materials that you can cut, you might want to have a dedicated, this is for those materials blade, or a dedicated vinyl blade. Brother does sell a specific vinyl blade you might want to invest in for that, just because with all the really fine materials with really sharp cutting, you want to make sure you've got that really sharp blade for those. In my case, I changed the blade last month and I felt confident it would be just fine on both. Plus, I was not cutting super, super tiny fine detail. We're a little bit bigger. And the glitter vinyl is a little coarse anyway. It's not as super fine, super smooth as some of the other heat transfers. So I felt confident in that. But that's certainly something you guys can do.
Sounds good. And also for those of you that picked up the rotary blade at any time, that's a great blade on the felt. It's, I call it like the, just so easy to do. But anyways, if you don't have that, you saw what May's using. It worked just perfect. So May, this was a great project. We did it early enough so then everyone can work on this before the holidays roll around.
And I can't wait to see what, I want to see what everybody makes. I want to see all the variations that everybody comes up with.
I do too. In fact, this is going to be a great thing. I've got a little basket of scraps that I was like, what am I going to do with that? A lot of it's red and green, just craft projects I've been working on. I definitely see this in the mix. I will share my photos. Look up top. If you do, use hashtag Brother Sews or hashtag Brother Scan and Cut. They love to see what you're working on as well. So, hey, May, before you go, you'll be back next month, of course, with another fabulous project. Anything new going on your YouTube channel or anything in your space that we need to know about?
Oh, I'm just going to be sharing holiday project. Honestly, I like to film as I get going with my own projects, and then I'll just be sharing those as I'm able, as they're done. And the Brother Crafts, I've got a bunch of, for Brother Crafts, there's a bunch of projects coming to that Instagram, YouTube, etc. So that should be fun too.
Wonderful. And everyone, don't forget to download the Artspira app, ARTSPIRA. That's how you spell it. It's a free app that you can get on your phone and you can draw, you can play around. There's new designs. Wait till you see what's coming for the holidays. There's some very cool things in store. So May, as always, thank you for an awesome project. And everyone out there, thank you for watching. I can't wait. Do you know what you're doing for the holidays? Or you can give a little teaser, or we have to just wait?
Oh, I don't know.
Next month.
Oh, for next month. So I think for our note, I think my notes on next month, I think we're going rhinestone and sparkles, but don't quote me. I think that's what I was looking at though.
A little blingster. I love that, May.
So.
We love that. All right, May. Have a wonderful day. Brother Sewing and Crafting family, thank you for watching.